loss. He's sitting at 11-1. He has not lost today. Park's sitting at 10-1-1. This match obviously has top 8 implications, also has Pro Tour Journey and Knicks implications, but Major's up a game here with the Storm deck against Park. What do we think about this matchup?
Well, typically Splinter Twin's actually been a very difficult matchup for Storm because Storm can't interact with Twin's God Draw. Like, all it takes from Twin is a hand of 4 lands, an Exarch, a Twin, and a Dispel, and Storm can't beat that.
Okay.
So I have not liked playing this on the Storm side in the past.
Watching Michael Majors a little bit earlier, as we did, he was very, very impressive against Froelich. He obviously has a very strong understanding of how the Storm deck works. Not surprising to see him not lose so far today, 11-1, chasing down a Pro Tour invite. Yeah,
the thing is that Twin has so little investment in its combo that it plays all these offensive counter spells, especially if you're straight Splinter Twin, none of this tempo stuff, which is, I believe, what Park is playing.
Yeah,
he's on Tempo Twin.
Yeah, let me take a look here if we have any green cards. We've got like 4 Exarchs, you've got 2 Pester Mites, and he's doing some other things too. He's got Click, he's got Snapcaster, Spellskite, and stuff like that. So
yeah, he has Bolts, Remands.
Yeah. So a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Obviously, he's still trying to twin people out of the game, but he's got 4 Splinter Twins and only 1 Kiki, and then 6 actual twin pieces. So he gets to play a little bit of a different game, which may have actually led to his demise in the last game.
Yeah, Tempo Twin's much worse against Storm. So these cards like Lightning Bolt are not relevant in this matchup, whereas regular Splinter Twin plays just like a bunch of Dispels and Swan Songs, which incidentally are all insane against Storm. He's not playing any of those. So this is more of a combo race.
Now, Majors obviously is missing land drops here, and you've got the Deceiver Exarch that's going to show up to the party and tap a mountain, and this game might be over before it even started, as Majors is going to play Mr. Rainforest and pass the turn back. Park very quickly untapping. He's going to play a land. He's going to cast a Splinter Twin.
Game 3, I think. Yep.
All right.
So as we saw Code Dennis keep a 1-land hand too, and this isn't just a bunch of greedy Storm players. This is because of Storm's abundance of rituals. There are a lot of 1-landers that you really can keep in the matchup.
Now this begs the question, and it's been a bit of a debate recently on the old interwebs. Which version is better? The Pantheon, obviously, John Finkel, Kai Budd, Tom Martell, a collection of the best players that have ever played Magic, advocate the 16-land Desperate Ravings 4 God Electromancer version. That's exactly what Majors is working with. We also saw God Dennis yesterday. He had mana troubles. Majors obviously doesn't play a second on that game, versus the Andrew Shrout version of the deck with 3 Electromancers, Faithless Looting, more lands.
Right.
Is one better than the other? I mean, we obviously look at someone
certainly
get
is a
mana
debate
screwed.
among the combo community, I would say.
Well,
there are lots of
different.
there are a lot of different ways to take it. I've had I think everybody has their own opinion on Storm. I personally like my Storm decks to be fast. I've been I'm willing to play cards like Pyromancer Swath a lot of the time. However, there's something to be said for the inevitability that this 16-land Desperate Ravings version brings. So there's an argument for both of them, I would say.
Obviously, it's easy to stick on your mind when Majors doesn't need a second land and saying, oh, should we play the Shroud version? That wouldn't have happened. He's got more lands than Faithless Looting to make sure that doesn't happen. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's true.
Well, I mean, that's an unfair way to put it, because that'll affect your mulliganing decisions. Like this, you aren't locked into having to keep 1-landers, for example.
That's true.
So you could have just looked at Major's hand and mulliganed it. If you don't want to sometimes keep a 1-lander and not draw another spell, don't keep 1-landers.
I suppose there's no rule that says you need to do that.
You're right. If there's a rule that says you have to keep 1-landers, then Faithless Looting is better than Desperate Ravings. But you get control over that decision.
We were being told on Twitter, the winner of the 2008 Worlds, Anti-Malo.
There we go.
Yes.
Thank you. I watched the match. I was I know.
I was actually in Memphis that weekend too.
I remember specifically about it. If you ever look at the coverage, he showed up with one of the most excellent outfits for the tournament. Specifically for top 8, it was, I believe, plaid on plaid, with plaid tie on different plaid shirts.
So you remember the clothing?
No, I remember just thinking, that is ridiculous. There's the picture of him winning it, and you're just wow, that is awesome.
We're going to take a look at sideboards here very briefly. Both players shuffling up very quickly. I don't think they're going to go back to the drawing board. On Major's side, he's got 3 copies of Blood Moon, 3 Empty of the Warren, 2 Shatterstorm, a Defense Grid, 2 Echoing Truth, 4 copies of Lightning Bolt. Anything that you like in particular here?
Well, okay. So you want to be fast in the matchup. Echoing Truth. Echoing Truth can bounce an Exarch.
That's more, I think that's the easy one to bring in. I don't really think there's anything else.
I don't want to bring in anything else.
Do you like Defense Grid at all?
No.
Okay.
There's only one. He's not playing that many counter spells. Yeah, okay, sure. Let's go with Defense Grid 2.
All right, well, on Park's side,
All right.
2 Ancient Grudge, 2 Relic, 2 Blood Moons, a Dispel, 2 Batter Skulls, an Engineered Explosives, an Echoing Truth of his own, a Threats of Disloyalty, 2 Anger of the Gods, and a Flame Slash.
Relic is sweet. Dispel is really good. Echoing Truth probably fine.
Okay.
That's about it. You're just combo decks. These decks they don't have much ability to interact with each other at all, especially on Storm side. Storm, Jamie gets to Goldfish this matchup.
And perhaps 2 ships passing in the night here?
Yeah, and that's why I think Twin has more ways to mess up Storm than Storm can mess up Twin.
We are in game 3. We'll see if that's how it plays out. Majors will be on the play this game. You see both players looking at their opening hands. We'll see if either one's going to keep, and then we'll be underway here momentarily.
What you actually want to keep, and especially, so some combo mirrors are really intricate, and some of them are just races. And this one more or less falls into the second camp. So when you're looking at your hand, you have to say, what's my Goldfish turn presently? What Goldfish turn can I hope to draw to reasonably? Is that good enough? Can I do better on a mulligan?
So it feels like a lot of the time you might have to mulligan aggressively in a matchup like this because you are 2 ships passing in the night. Yeah,
so you have to gauge what you think, what speed you think your opponent's going to be keeping. Just what do you need to get another turn,
It looks like Majors is content with his hand. You see hands folded here. Park is the one that's deep in the tank.
It's why Majors may have kept his one-lander. Because say in that last matchup, he had a hand that he's like, if he hits a land on turn 1 or 2 is a turn 3 kill.
Okay.
That's pretty common in Storm, because Storm sometimes can do turn 3 kills. It's not a turn 3 deck, but it has turn 3 draws. And I would keep that all day in this matchup. Because turn 3 on the draw, turn 3 is what you need. So you're 1 card away and a card's a land? Great, let's do it.
Jamie, after much deliberation, is going to keep. We're underway here in game number 3 of round 13 between Majors and Park. He's going to start off, Will Majors, with a Scalding Tarn. 4 Steam Vents. Majors goes down to 17, and we'll see what kind of cantripping we'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be a cantrip of some sort. We just have to see what speed he's on. There is the danger, once again, that Jamie actually can disrupt Majors' plan.
It's a Gataxian Probe.
Well, now he'll know.
What did you keep, Jamie? You see a Serum Visions, an Exarch or 2. Looks like a Snapcaster Mage, a Relic, and a couple of lands.
Yeah, I believe it's 2 Snapcasters, an Exarch, a Serum Visions, and a Relic. So he's got Disruption in the form of Relic. He's got half his combo. He's got a way to try to find the second half. He has these Snapcasters. I think that's the worst part of this hand.
Yeah, me too.
Because the matchup is such a race, Snapcaster is pretty weak. It's only going to be good if he finds a card like Dispel that he can Snapcast. Otherwise, he just doesn't have time to Snapcast things unless he's actually embracing a control role.
So Echoing Truth with the draw for Majors. Now he's going to sleight of hand Pyretic Ritual and Shivan Reef are the cards that he's looking at here. I think it's a pretty close keep by Jamie. That's why, obviously, the deliberation, because Snapcaster Mage is probably the worst card in his hand. He has 2 copies. Yeah, well, like I said, he has to play this hand. That hand of his says he wants to play the control role, and he has to find that Dispel or that Spell Pierce or whatnot in the first couple turns. That's what he has to Serum Visions for. It's not the combo. To get the combo, he needs to find the twin and the second red, and that's probably too much. An Island and a Serum Visions is where things are going to start for Park. He'll draw a card, it's time to scry. Question for you very quickly.
Yeah.
Do you prefer starting with Serum Visions or Relic of Progenitus on turn 1?
Serum Visions. You need your action immediately. Relic is not, you're not going to beat a turn 2 anyway.
Okay.
You might need that Dispel as soon as you're going to need that Dispel, when you, on turn 2 when you make a land and pass, you might need that Dispel that turn.
Okay.
Because Michael Majors can turn 3 you, and the only way you can get the Dispel on the turn you need it is to turn 1 Serum Visions.
Goblin Electromancer comes rolling off the top here for Majors.
Yeah. Here's the danger. Jamie can't remove the Electromancer.
Yeah.
That's terrifying if you do that against Storm. You're just going to let him have an Electromancer all game? And, the answer is yes, he is.
Gataxian Probe.
So see what he hit. He hit a Remand and so he had a land. He drew a Remand off that Serum Visions. This is one of the situations where Serum Visions is actually a little trickier than Preordained because the real prize is the card that Jamie kept on top, and we just don't know what that is yet.
I don't think Majors had another land, but he drew one off a Gataxian Probe. It's a Scalding Tarn, so he's going to take a little bit more damage. Okay,
I like that style. You lose game 2 because you kept a 1-lander and didn't hit, so game 3 you keep a 1-lander on the play.
Can't let it affect you.
Yeah, well, if 1-landers on the draw don't get there, we'll have to try them on the play.
Majors, probably going to drop down the Electromancer. There it is, and as you mentioned, this is the terrifying part. There's a walking Electromancer out there that we don't think Jamie Park can kill.
If he kept a 1 land on the play, that makes me believe that he's got a turn 3.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you'd keep a 1-land on the play unless it was a turn 3.
Park with an interesting draw. Draws a copy of Spell Snare for the turn.
Okay, so that was the card he was bad. He kept top with the Serum Visions. And it was important that it was a Spell Snare or a Pierce or a Dispel because it needs to be 1 mana so that he can cast it this turn and again next turn.
Yes.
Like, he needs to have that level of disruption.
So now Park's going to kind of analyze some things because, the easy turn for him would be, okay, I'll play a land, I'll play Relic Progenitus with the mana up, and I can bluff the fact that I can activate this and then have Spell Snare at the ready as well. We'll see if that's the route if he's going to go or not. But I agree with you that, that card had to be a Spell Snare or Dispel or something of that. A 1-mana permission spell was huge there for Park.
I think what we'll see him do is play this Relic, keep a mana up, so that if a Past in Flame starts, boom, he can hit that. The danger is so you don't know when you want to Spell Snare, because you don't really know if they're going to Past in Flames this turn. And you don't have mana to do both. So you can't Relic and Spell Snare.
And unfortunately for Park, he doesn't have information on what Majors has in his hand.
He does not have Jataxian Probes in his deck.
Yeah.
Jataxian Probes is one of those cards that I really like in combo mirrors. He has a peak. He has a 1-of peak. It would be a great card for him to draw. I don't even think he'd have time to cast it. The fact that it costs 1 instead of 2 life is just too expensive right now.
Now, something subtle here that Park is doing that I actually really like a lot is it would have been very easy for him to just go, land, Relic, go. And just take his turn very quickly and pass the turn back. I like the fact that he's deliberating a lot because that means that he is thinking or showing that he has something. Now, of course, we know in the booth, just like you guys know at home, he drew a Spell Snare. But by not just quickly taking his turn, he's really just giving Majors a lot to think about by just sitting here and thinking for a while and just basically plotting and planning his next moves.
If you're Majors, you want to go all the way down the line. You want to look at Jamie's hand and say, okay, he kept a card on top. What kind of card would he keep on top? It would either be a combo, but that's probably not good enough. I take it one step farther and say it's probably a counter. It's probably a 1-mana counter of some sort.
So now here's a question for you. Electromancer gets placed on the stack. This is Electromancer number 2. Does this change anything, and do you want to show Spell Snare now?
I don't want to snare it because the way Majors' wins are Ascensions and Past in Flames. We have the Past in Flames covered with Relic. Right now, that Spell Snare covers Ascension for us.
Okay.
So I'd rather try to counter the ways he wins as opposed to just getting my value right away.
Okay. Because obviously, if you show the Spell Snare now, then that shows Majors that, okay, he's got Snapcaster Range or Spell Snare later, too, so it allows Majors to plan accordingly.
Yeah, and this is why it's a difficult matchup from the Storm side, is because Jamie actually does have good 1-mana disruption, and if you look at this, Jamie could still have a turn 4 kill. It's not even slowing him down. On turn 3, he can do things like make an Exarch untap Island Spell Snare, and now he has an Exarch in play, and he didn't even miss a step on his combo.
Yeah. He's going to blow Relic right away.
Yeah, well, he has Snapcasters, right? So hitting Relic right away seems decent.
Okay. Park draws. He's going to untap. He's going to take his turn.
It does mean, however, that if Majors has a Past in Flames kill in hand, that's actually going to work.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some danger involved.
Now, Park drew, I believe, a Lightning Bolt.
Yeah, he has a pair of them, actually.
Yeah. So he's added to his hand very well. He can't cast both in one turn, which I'm sure he would love to do, to go bolt your Electromancer, and have Spell Snare up. That's not available for him right now, so he's just going to pass the turn back.
Yeah, so what he can do is if Michael doesn't go for a combo, he can end step, Exarch, untap Mountain, bolt an Electromancer. Or if he plays something that's Spell Snareable, like the Ascension he drew, he could he could do the same thing with untap and Spell Snare.
Now, as terrifying as it is to face down Electromancers and mana untapped, right now Major's hand, it doesn't look like there's any combo in there to actually be able to go bonkers.
Yeah, I don't see the whole hand, but it's hard to play around Spell Snare. You to play around all these counters as Storm player. Sometimes you just have to plow through them and hope that your opponent runs out.
Majors just makes an attack and he passes the turn back, so Park now is going to go Lightning Bolt, targeting the Electromancer.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that he didn't Exarch untap the Mountain to do that, just to get an Exarch in play. Once an Exarch's in play, Majors can't actually get rid of it.
See Park looking at Snapcaster Mage now, maybe considering if I get a Snapcaster Mage in play here, because I'm not going to have time to use my other one.
He's going to ambush Viper the Electromancer.
Well, the damage has already happened.
Okay,
so
damage already happened, so we're on end step.
But just the fact that he can have that out there and it'll actually stop Electromancer from attacking is potentially a step in the right direction.
That's good, but that's why I'd want to make the Exarch play.
Sure. Either way, Snapcaster is here. Park draws. It's a copy of Steam Vents. He's going to attack for 2. Don't forget Major's life total right now. With all those probes and fetches, He's a little bit lower than it may appear.
Yeah, Jamie has a lightning bolt there too, so that could become real. I mean, it's going to force Majors to try to win at some point here.
I mean, let's consider something here. He has a lightning bolt in his hand. He also has a Snapcaster Mage in his hand. So if he goes Snapcaster Bolt, puts him to 7, Bolt puts you to 4, all of a sudden an attack there is lethal.
So perhaps Jamie's not comboing at all.
So now there's Steam Fence that's going to come into play on tap. All of a sudden, you know, we're talking about Majors being in the driver's seat with an Electromancer. Michael Majors is potentially dead next turn, depending on how Jamie Park plays this turn.
Yeah, he's contemplating where this bolt's going to go now, and he's just going to go ahead and hit the Electromancer. That doesn't mean he can kill it takes away his ability to kill Majors next turn, but it gives him a lot more inevitability to swing with these Snapcasters.
You see Majors might have a bit of a response to this. This is going to be an Echoing True targeting Goblin Electromancer. Is this worth fighting over?
Probably not. I don't think I'd burn my Spell Snare on it. He's burning another card so you can have more, like, the 2/2 is not actually that big of a problem. And Michael will have to use mana to recast it, which is really terrible for the Storm player.
So you see Park is giving this consideration, and he says, all right, Echoing Truth resolves, that's fine. Pick up your Electromancer. We'll see if he has any other plays this turn, if he wants to Exarch on the upkeep or anything of that nature, or just let him go. He's just going to let him go.
No reason to Exarch right now. You have a spell. This is where it's really hard for Storm because, like, he has these cards like Spell Snare that are just really jerks of cards, and he also has a clock, and he has a combo, and it's all these things that are just really rough. Twin is very good against a lot of the other combo decks in the format. It's good against Scapeshift. It's good against Storm.
It's also just scary to play against. Because, I mean, 3 mana represents so many different things when you're playing against them.
Well, they don't have to play very many combo cards. They get to play a bunch of real cards in their combo deck. Which, you know, like, Majors is playing Desperate or like Pyretic Ritual. That's not actually a real card.
Yeah.
It doesn't do anything.
Majors is doing something that's scary, however. He's doing the tapping of the table and the counting.
Yeah, I mean, Storm's great. But, you know, I mean, Snapcaster Mage versus, like, Goblin Electromancer, right? They both are 2-drop creatures. One of them is a lot more powerful.
So Electromancer will come onto the table. It looks like Park is okay with letting that resolve. We'll see if Majors has any other plays this turn.
I mean, I think Majors wants to start with, the problem is, like, he could start with a Ritual. It's so tough because Jamie has the Snapcaster Mage for the Lightning Bolt to take care of the Electromancer again. Like, ideally, Majors would start Ritualing here. He could, if it wasn't for the Spell Snare.
He's going to catch Remand with the Electromancer.
So what I think Majors is going to try to do is say that Electromancer lives, right?
Okay.
And there's no bolt because Michael Majors doesn't know about the second. No, he does know about the second snap. But what he could do if he untaps so that he can Ritual once, get a Spell Snare, he can Ritual again, and then he can start a chain into Past in Flames and win.
Here's an attack for 2. Park drew a Splinter Twin, so he does have the lethal combo in his hand.
Well, I mean, that's just great because you can just green light the combo against Storm.
Yep.
They don't interact. They play 2 Echoing Truths. I suppose they can Echoing Truth.
He's already burned one of them.
He's already burned one.
Yep. Jamie Park is getting ever closer at 10-1-1. And looking in very, very good shape this game to going back to the Pro Tour. You see, he's going to take his time. Wants to make sure all the variables, because, you know, in a situation like this where, you know, he's got all the tools that he needs in his hand right now, he just wants to make sure that he doesn't make any missteps.
Right. We will see.
Now, does he want to Exarch on Major's turn? You know, Storm doesn't have a lot of lands in their deck, so on the upkeep, he could tap down Steam Vents.
Yeah.
That prices Majors into only casting Electromancer for the turn. There's a lot of different things he can do.
I think that's too, like, I would end step the Exarch.
Yep.
You don't need to be that aggressive, but he's going to go ahead and do it. I don't know. I almost wanted to snap Lightning Bolt here instead, but we will see. Like, if Majors draws, Majors needs a lot. I was going to say, yeah, Majors would need 2 lands. The Spell Snare should have all of Majors' outs covered.
I was going to say, if the Spell Snare may just be enough protection to get the job done.
Yeah, if Majors had another land in play, this wouldn't work, because then he could make a 4th land and make 2 rituals and start a chain, and you couldn't snare them both. But yeah, the Spell Snare should have Majors covered. And we know that on the untap, Jamie can go for it, unless Majors finds a Echoing Truth.
Yeah. So Park, again, does play the Deceiver Exarch on Major's upkeep. Taps the Steam Vents. Major's going to take a look at his hand, take a look at the graveyard, see if there's anything he can do to get himself out of this. Doesn't know that Park has Splinter Twin in his hand, but we do, just like you do. So can Michael Majors work his way out of this situation? This is a Goblin Electromancer. He passes the turn back. Park is going to Spell Snare that.
And then, because, well, you have your opponent tapped out,
He
and then you're
shows him a
untap
Splinter
and twin
Twin.
him.
That is it. Jamie Park with a quick handshake and a pump of the fist. Moves on to 11-1-1, and one step closer to going back to the Pro Tour. Gives Michael Majors his second loss and